Hey guys, this is Dre from THB here at Dallas, Texas, and I want to start off by wishing you all a happy new year and thanking you for spending all of 2020 with us and showing us immense support. I'm sure the holidays and the new year just didn't seem the same this time around, but hopefully 2021 will be the light at the end of the tunnel for all of us. Speaking of, our January issue, we'll be talking to Dr. Mamta Jain about the COVID-19 vaccines that are being distributed right now. Dr. Jain is the professor in the Department of Internal Medicine at UT Southwestern Medical Center. She specializes in infectious diseases and conducts clinical trials to evaluate new therapies for HIV, hepatitis C, influenza, and now COVID-19. She will be giving us all the answers to our questions today and maybe provide you and me with some hope for the rest of the year. So let's get to it. Just to save time, I'll just get straight into the questions. Again, thank you so much. And I'm sorry your day was extremely busy. I hope it gets better from today for now. So I'm just going to start off by asking a question that I know a lot of us have in mind, because we are fearing these vaccines that are currently being distributed since, they took like a relatively short period of time to be developed. So how do we know that these vaccines are safe?
So the thing is that the fast or the acceleration of vaccine development did not compromise any of the steps that we normally take for a vaccine to occur. Generally, when we do vaccine development, you first do your phase 1 study, and then when you get the results, then you go into phase 2, and there's delays in between all of these phases. So sometimes these take 3, 4, 5 months because from the time that the data comes out, then you go back to the FDA, and things happen more methodical. It just takes more time. Some of it is bureaucracy. Also, once the phase 3 data comes out, then that's when the companies usually start ramping up manufacturing. And so then there's even a more delay from when the vaccine actually becomes available. So knowing that these delays can occur, what pharmaceutical companies did is that they took the risk of the vaccine perhaps not showing the benefit that they were hoping for, and they started manufacturing the vaccine even before all the phases of the trial were done. However, all the phases of the trial were done.
Okay.
So they went through phase 1, they went through phase 2, they went through phase 3. And once that phase 3 data they had that interim analysis, that's what went to the FDA. That's what was reviewed by the FDA. And it's done by independent scientists, not by the company, but independent scientists. And they then recommended that the vaccine be used. And that's why. Now, let me just be clear. EUA approval is not the same as FDA approval. The EUA authorization is not the same as FDA approval. Okay, we have had many drugs that have come in under EUA approval. That is an emergency use authorization. So when data becomes available that there could be benefit, it is allowed to be used without FDA approval. Currently, we only have one drug that is actually FDA approved for COVID-19, and that is remdesivir. None of the other drugs are actually FDA approved, because to get FDA approval, you actually need multiple trials that show concurrently the same thing. And we do not have time to wait for that. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's under an EUA. Eventually, these vaccines will all get FDA approval, but we need to start vaccinating now because we're spiraling out of control.
Of course. Okay. So I was going to ask which, if any, section or phase of the vaccine development was compromised due to the accelerated release, but as you stated, none of them were compromised. If anything, there were just a few risks taken, but all of the vaccine
was taken by the manufacturer
companies. Okay.
So, and that is a financial risk.
Okay, not anything to do.
They made the drug, and it's possible all the money that they poured into making the drug, and the drug wouldn't work, and they would have to just eat the cost. That was the risk that they took.
Okay, I see. Okay, that makes sense. So, like, I know that both the Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna vaccines are nucleic acid vaccines, and if I'm correct, they are the first RNA vaccines to be licensed for human use. Am I wrong?
So let's go back. The only
Okay.
two vaccines that are mRNA vaccines is the Pfizer BioTech and
Mhm.
Moderna.
Okay.
AstraZeneca is not.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was just the Pfizer and the Moderna, the two that are nucleic acid vaccines, and then they are.
mRNA.
Oh, sorry.
They're mRNA vaccines.
mRNA vaccines. Okay. And aren't they also the first mRNA vaccines to be licensed for human use? Or
Uh,
have,
so they're not licensed. Remember, they're EUA.
okay.
The only other area where this technology has been used and it's has been developed was developed initially for oncology. That's
Okay.
where this drug, this technology has been. It's been under development for the last 9 or 10 years.
Okay.
I, I don't know the oncology literature well enough to know if they have an approved oncology mRNA therapeutic drug or not, but I know that that's where the technology was being developed.
Okay.
You are correct. This is the first mRNA vaccine for infectious disease.
Okay. So does this mean anything different for potential side effects than other vaccines that we've taken?
Well, I don't know. It does appear. I don't know until we get data from the AstraZeneca vaccine, and we know what the efficacy is and what the reactogenicity. What we've seen so far is what we would call reactogenicity. It's local side effects. It's arm pain, muscle aches, maybe some low grade fever, something like that. But it's local. It's basically it's eliciting an immune response.
Mhm.
Now, at the same time, we have never really had vaccines that had this level of protectiveness. The curves, when you look at them, are impressive,
Okay.
very impressive. And so, uh, um, uh, um, if the AstraZeneca or the more traditional vaccines don't show as high of an efficacy, and maybe they have less reactogenicity, we'll have to think about, what's the benefit versus the risk. I honestly think that the 1 or 2 days of some discomfort to be
Mhm.
able to get that level of protection, at least from severe disease, that is huge.
Yeah.
And it may mean that more infectious disease vaccines are actually are developed with using this kind of platform.
I
But
see.
we don't know yet.
Okay. Still too early to say.
Yeah, right now it's too early because we don't have the data from the other vaccine,
Mhm.
which were made in different using different methods.
Okay. So these are the ones we just talked about, the vaccines that have been out right now and that are being distributed currently. But do any of the vaccines that are still under development currently have like the potential to be better options than the two available right now?
I don't know.
Mhm.
That's making a guess that is beyond me. I think all of them are uh, targeting the spike protein. And I think that is an important target. And if all of them elicit antibodies against the spike protein, I think they will all probably have efficacy. There may be varying degrees of efficacy. Instead of 95%, it might be 85%, it might be 75%, but they still have efficacy. Now, it may turn out that in certain populations, one type of vaccine may be more efficacious than another. So perhaps a protein-based vaccine may be better in people, or maybe one that has an adjuvant may be better in people who are immunocompromised than something that doesn't have it. We just don't know. This is a huge experiment that's occurring, and we will learn a lot about immunology and about what is the best vaccine in various populations. But you know that I can't guess what the vaccine is going to which population it's going to be better for.
Okay. Well, do you think that maybe people should, some people are wondering if they should take both or take one? Is it just get whatever's accessible?
No. You do not take both of the vaccines. They're each vaccine, either the Pfizer one or the Moderna one, each has 2 doses.
Okay.
You need to take the same vaccine, as scheduled. So the Pfizer one is you take the first vaccine and then you take the second one, the booster at 3 weeks. That's how you should do it. The Moderna one is the first vaccine and then the second one is at 4 weeks. But do not mix the vaccines.
Okay.
That is not a good idea and should not be done at all.
Okay. So
and you shouldn't take both. That makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah. So will there be enough for everyone, or is it necessary to vaccinate everybody?
I think that in order to obtain herd immunity, we probably need to get 70 to 80% of the people vaccinated.
Okay.
And will there be enough? I don't know. I mean, I think for one manufacturer, no, to provide the planet with a vaccine, no, I don't think that's possible. But that's why there are multiple different types of vaccines being developed. And so and there are different strategies, so for example, the mRNA vaccine technology, even though it has 94, it's not the best method for example, for a country in which refrigeration and minus 80 freezers is going to be a problem. That is not going to be the best vaccine for that. Even in the US, we're seeing difficulty in distributing this vaccine in small rural areas where a minus 80 freezer is not something that they have. So I think that it's great that many different manufacturers have used different methods to develop vaccines because every geographic area and population may need a different type of vaccine. The Janssen vaccine, for example, it's going to be a one shot. And if it shows to be promising, that's going to be a lot easier, perhaps for people who maybe are not going to be around for 3 or 4 weeks to be able to get the second shot. It's like students and, that are going back and forth from home to a school. And like the AstraZeneca and the Janssen, I'm not sure about this, but the AstraZeneca vaccine is definitely a lot cheaper, and it's a traditional vaccine, so it doesn't need to be stored in a minus 80 freezer. So it's a lot easier to distribute this to clinics and offices. That's where most of the distribution of vaccines occur. One of the problems we're having right now in distribution is that we don't have the infrastructure to give this mass vaccination using this, having minus 80 freezers. How do you transport all this stuff? I mean, we're used to it being in a doctor's office. Well, doctor's offices don't have this kind of minus 80 freezers. Mm-hmm. So a traditional vaccine would be easier to distribute. And other countries may find the AstraZeneca vaccine easier to institute in their population, just because they may have more problems with having access to refrigeration.
Of course. So we know that the government right now they're like releasing the vaccines in like spaces or first healthcare providers, and then from there they're going on and doing separate different groups. How are these groups determined, and like when can people be looking out to be getting vaccinated?
So, I mean, the decision of which groups to prioritize is being made by the ACIP, which is the Adult Immunization Group. So it's a group of doctors, but it's not just that. They have people from the community. They have many people that are coming together and really thinking very hard about this is a scarce resource right now, and what is the best way that we can distribute to be able to protect the most vulnerable and those that are the most exposed. I think that's the what they used as their criteria. So healthcare workers are exposed, and we need our healthcare system to be functioning. We cannot have our healthcare workers sick, because we're overburdened in the hospitals right now. And so in order to take care of those patients who are sick, we need our healthcare workers. So they need to be vaccinated. We need to vaccinate the elderly, because the highest mortality is in the elderly. Mm-hmm. And so if we can reduce their chances of getting severe disease, we can save lives. And then after that, it's the priority groups go, depending on, who's at risk and who has the highest rate of mortality. And, those who are young and don't have any comorbidities are going to be lower on the list, because they are less likely to, die from this disease. And so we just need to kind of, wait and make sure that the people who are in line get their vaccine. Now, what troubles me more is that people are hesitant to get the vaccine, and that I think is very troubling. The vaccine is safe. There's nothing that I've seen that makes me worried. I think it's very important to get the vaccine. The vaccine is very effective, and it is stunning. The data, when you look at the graphs, it's absolutely stunning. And I have no concerns about the efficacy of the vaccine. It is, as one of my colleagues called it, a miracle. And so I do think that everyone should be getting vaccinated. If you're a healthcare worker, you should get vaccinated. You should not wait. If you're, in that priority group that's getting vaccinated, like over 75, then you should get vaccinated. You should not wait. So that is something that concerns me, that people are hesitating to get vaccinated.
Of course. And you mentioned, you are an internal medicine doctor. And you are in the hospital, you do see patients. Could you talk a little bit about how it is right now? Like, I know there was a spike recently, and hospitals are full.
The hospitals are overwhelmed. I've been taking care. I've been doing clinical trials with COVID-19 since March. Nonstop. I have not stopped since March. And we've had, I thought it was busy in July when, our numbers surged to like 60, and one of the hospitals, it went up to 110, 120, but it's consistently over like 180. Our university hospital, which used to, average around 30 patients, it's like at 100. So we're like tripled. The ICUs are full. And so it is, there's less nurses, there's less, everyone there is being called on to help. And so it's overwhelming.
Wow, I hope that this is like the light at the end of the tunnel, 2021, starting out with these vaccines. I do hope it gets better. And I know we touched about this earlier as well, but how should we be concerned about paying for these vaccines? Or
can I make, before we go into that, can I make one plea? I think this is really, really important that everyone take this responsibility very seriously. You need to wear a mask anywhere you go. You cannot, because we cannot have any more spread of this disease. Everyone should be wearing masks. I don't care if you've been vaccinated or not vaccinated. Everyone should be wearing masks. And we've got to slow down. You got to stop meeting up with people in indoor places and taking off your mask. We've got to stop the transmission of this disease. We need to give a break to the hospitals. And if you're going to go out for anything, just go to get the vaccine.
Of course. Yeah, we were just going to talk about that. Like, while we're waiting for these vaccines to be more widely distributed, and even after they are distributed, what steps should we take other than current social distancing and mask protocols to protect ourselves from COVID-19?
Well, I mean, so until everyone is vaccinated or the vast majority of people are vaccinated, I don't think we're going to be able to like take off our masks, right?
Yeah.
Because the disease, what we know so far is that the the vaccine prevents disease. It does not prevent transmission. So you could still get infected with COVID-19. You just don't get severe disease. And so that's great. But if you get infected, that means you could transmit it to somebody else. And so if the people around you are not vaccinated, you are at risk of transmitting it, even if you are vaccinated. You just won't get sick, but then they could get sick. So that's why you have to wear the mask until everyone is vaccinated.
I think this is very important to know because I feel like a lot of people are misunderstanding the use of these vaccines and assuming that once they take it, they're all good and they can go back to their normal lives. But as you've mentioned, it's not the case. We might not have as bad symptoms as we would have if we didn't have the vaccine, but the virus is still using us as a vehicle to transport to other people.
As far as we know, I mean, until we have more data about that, that was not what the studies showed or designed to show. They're probably going to be looking at some of that information, but what the studies showed is that it prevents disease. The studies were not designed to show whether it prevents transmission.
Okay.
We cannot assume that.
Yeah, just so to be safe, we all just keep our masks on and till otherwise said so.
Right.
Okay, awesome. And I was just going back to the question about pay, like the price for these vaccines once it is available for the general public.
Currently, the U.S. government is purchasing the vaccines and they're provided for free.
Okay, awesome. Okay, perfect. And so as I mentioned, you said this is a miracle. This is the light at the end of the tunnel. And so people need to be taking advantage of the situation. But with vaccines that are currently out and more to come, do you think we can expect an end to this pandemic anytime soon?
Yes. Well, hold on. The vaccine question, let me just make one clarification. Even though, so the government purchased the vaccine and they're providing it to the states and the states are giving it to the hospital systems and stuff. It is possible that some clinics may charge an administrative fees. I don't know that they are, but I don't want people to, so they may charge like a $20, $30 fee to administer the drug. People have done that for other vaccines, and so I don't know that, but they're not as of right now. The vaccines purchased by the government and provided to the states and stuff like that. So you're not paying for the actual vaccine, but I don't know, just because of the burden of administrating it. Some clinics may charge. I don't know that.
The vaccine, like the medicine itself, is paid for the government, but the administration and
I mean, again, like I don't know that that's happening.
Of course,
but, it's possible. Okay. But in terms of I do think that once more and more people are vaccinated, I think we will see a decrease in people getting sick, and I think that's the beginning of the end of the pandemic.
Amazing. That's awesome. So of course we all have to keep staying careful and staying inside and making sure we're doing what we're supposed to do as responsible citizens with this pandemic, but we can also hope to see an end soon.
I hope so. I don't know. It may be, around October, November of 2021. But I think it's just a matter of time. We just need to be patient, and not get ahead of ourselves and not go crazy we've just got to be safe until more and more people get vaccinated.
Of course. Thank you so much, Dr. Jain. I'm so sorry about the and you were very helpful. Thank you so much. I hope a lot of people will get closure through this, these questions and everything. And of course, if you have anything else for us, we'd really appreciate it. If not, thank you so much for your time today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your inviting me to discuss this.
No problem, of course. Have a great day, Dr. Jain.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.